This is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and one of my hobbies is going out and finding really good values on knives. And most of the time when I've been successful in my knife collecting hobby, which means I actually put $1 in and don't lose $1, are, that's what I try to go for. I try to go for something that's either going to possibly have the ability to be an extreme value as far as a hard use knife. This Enduro G10 Spyderco, I got a bunch of these and I got them for around $50 a piece. So I bought, took as much money as I possibly could, and I bought, probably 5 of them, something like that. But for 50 bucks a piece, that's not a bad deal, because these used to go for 120, 130. I have no earthly idea, but I got all mine for about 50. This Strider, this is a buck Strider, Tirani, something like that. Of course, Bose heat treat, ATS 34 steel, which is 154 in American steel. That's the Japanese version. Buck Strider, Of course, it's got some serrations on it, which I really don't particularly like, but I can live with it. I can sharpen the things up. I got those skills. That was a really good buy. I probably got that for about 50 bucks too. In fact, I know I got it for 50 bucks. I really like things when they get around $50 price range, but that's just me. I like $20 too, and I'm going to show you a few of the knives that I really, really like and thought were really good values, some that weren't. Of course, this Paper Stone Buck Vantage, people know that they're one of my favorite patterns, this, there, or the other, if you buy the right one. There's a lot of ones you can buy that aren't right, like this one. This is the Buck Vantage Pro. This is one of the, back in the day, I started watching YouTube, and of course, like most people, I watched Nut and Fancy, at least for a while, watched some of his videos, I bought some gear based on his recommendations. This is one of them. This, of course, failed on me because it had nylon washers. It didn't have phosphor bronze. Even this $20 one that I got at Sherwood's Guns, that one had phosphor bronze bushings, but this Pro with the S30V steel, and you can see the emblem from the Bose heat treat. Of course, all bucks get the Bose heat treat, but they put the marks on the higher end ones. G10 scales, liner, this, there, the other. This one did not have phosphor bronze bushings, and I basically broke a Vantage Select because it was $20 and I just want to see what they could take. And it took a lot. I'm not going to sit there and say that it didn't, for the weight of the knife and the build and this, there, or the other, and not having a liner, a full spacer around the back, or at least anything bigger than this one on the base. Now this is a Vantage Force Pro, which is my favorite. You can buy these for around 80 some dollars, pretty much all day long. What I really like about them is they're not really thick. They have sculpted G10 scales, which really are, I can take them or leave them. I like the Paper Stone too. This is more rounded than the Paper Stone. I like the fact that it has jimping right there on the flipper, because it allows me to have better purchase than one that does not, especially one that is polished like that one. That one's not even having any type of stone wash or any other finish. The blade's a little bit higher, which just makes it look a little bit different. I still have a problem with, for a left-handed person, the liner being higher. But the thing about that grade is, when it's right-handed, which is what I mainly will use it in, since right-handed is not my predominant hand, that makes closing this thing so much easier. That liner being up there where I can easily get to it. And I'm not changing all my knives over to be right-handed, so that's just the way it is. To be left-handed, sorry. Except for one, and that's a Spyderco Military, which I also got to close out from a left-handed Spyderco Military. I got it from Sierra Trading Post. Now, this Siebert is a knife. It's a Benchmade. It's the Adamas. It's a great knife. Very strong. Their strongest axis lock that Benchmade makes. It's very smooth action. I mean, it took very little flicking. I was even looking at the monitor and could do it. Really, really, really like this knife. Now, it is heavy, 7.9, but the action in it is so smooth, and I believe that it's such a good, it's such a great knife, and especially for what I got it for. It has a deep carry pocket clip, which it's not super deep, it's not all the way down, which I really like that. Some knives, the pocket clip almost lets it bury too deep in your pocket. That's just about perfect for me. It's got D2 steel. It's a Siebert design. Da 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 da. Now, I've learned a lot about this knife after I've been carrying it for a while and using it very little. Just because I was really, 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 to be honest, I open boxes. I do all kinds of things. This one did what I needed it to do really well. There's very seldom out there I'm actually going to need something like this. But in my go bag or something like that, this is a really good black label Benchmade, which that's their military and police line. Of course, this Benchmade Osborne, of course, has the same axis lock, but this is a much different version. It's not as thick a bar, and you can sit there and see the difference and how thick the one this black knife is and this one. Maybe the camera's picking it up. I hope it is, but it's quite a bit difference in diameter. I think this broke at 1,600 inch pounds or foot pounds. Hell, I don't remember. It was on some video. Go to Benchmade's YouTube channel if you want to see that video where this thing failed, and it took quite a bit of weight to actually make it fail. And they were just pushing. They locked the blade in and just pushed on the handle until it broke. Now, and they pushed right up here by the lock. I mean, they didn't push back here. So they really tested and gave a really accurate representation to weight, the weight that it would take. They didn't get the advantage of being down on the handle. But that's a really great knife. I bought this one back when they were cheaper, but things used to just be a lot cheaper. The knife hobby has increased. It's grown, I guess, since guns got really expensive and da 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 da, and now they've come back down in price. But 22, you still can't go out and just blast away with 22. So seeing a lot more people into the knife arena, specifically in the tactical knife arena, and hybrids like this Gayle Bradley. Now, everybody knows that when I actually reviewed the Gayle Bradley, I was not very favorable of it. And I will go back over that on the new channel and tell you why I was not favorable of it. One, it doesn't have a front guard. So if I was to use this in a stabbing motion, since I would be like this, my hand just tends to want to run up on that blade. It's just the way it is. Even if you grab it back here, there's really, I know your hand is much better back here than it is up there, but if I grab it up here, my hand just it wants to go there. Not saying that's right, I'm just saying things happen. Now, it's got a great clip on it, and the scales look really good. The only problem is I've had problems with carbon fiber, and I've washed a lot of carbon fiber. If you drop it on something, it delaminates. This is actually carbon fiber over something that could be more like G10, which in reality in this knife really doesn't play much of a role because the frame or the actual liners are so thick. This is a very, very strong, well-made, precisely made, beautiful knife. But, there are always issues. Really, this scale is only for comfort, and it acts as an over-travel stop. It's got great phosphor bronze, big phosphor bronze bushings. The knife steel is perfect. This, there, the other, da 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 da. The weight on this knife is an issue, though. Not that it's 5.5 ounces, which this knife actually on my scale is, and my scale is calibrated. And the newer version of this one, apparently they have, this is the very first production, which there is absolutely no lightning holes in any way, shape, or fashion. They have not skeletonized this thing. It is solid, 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 okay? And this one is 5.5 ounces on my scale. The newer versions, and apparently they've gone through 2 generations or 2 different sets of liners since this one, they have skeletonized it. The set after these were skeletonized a little bit, the next ones were skeletonized even more. And I'm getting a sample sent to me of that knife, and I'm going to be able to put it through some tests. I'm going to be able to do some things with it without worrying about it being my knife and going, oh my god, I'm doing this to my knife. And then I'm going, when I break it or this, there, or the other, I've got to send it back and get it taken care of. But even then, I'm hold back a little bit because it's mine. So they're going to give me a new one. They've changed some of the things. I've learned more about it. To be honest, I'm still worried about dropping it, but I can be more careful with it about the G10. About the carbon fiber over the G10. I like the fact that the center of gravity is going to be definitely changed because of the skeletonization. There's where the center of gravity of this knife is. That's kind of a little far back for me. I really need it a little bit farther forward for it to feel comfortable in my hand. I seem like I have a little... the weight is so much in the center of my hand, I lose a little bit about exactly where the front of the knife is, and I don't feel it quite as much as I think I should. But the skeletonization, as I said, will take care of that. But that's just a nitpicky thing. So they're getting me another sample. I'm going to really reevaluate it and then give my honest to God opinion on it. That one I got, as I said, right in the beginning when they first came out. And was I upset about it? Yeah. Did I make a video about being upset about it? Oh yeah. And it's nothing like the hell I would give somebody like, the Pathfinder store. I think the way in which they do things is a little messed up, but in current economic environments, this, that, or the other, I hate to sit there and say it, it's just the way shit happens. Maybe back this, there, or the other, I've had that same problem with gun manufacturers. Ever since 2007, 2008, the downturn, I have just had problems with manufacturing because people are running things that tight. So, what do? I buy things that people don't want. I buy, or I try to buy good values in the beginning. Like this Gayle Bradley was an extreme value. All 3 of these knives were extreme values. I paid $20 for that knife in paper stone, and it had phosphor bronze bushings. And I paid $60 for this knife with the S30V and the Vantage Pro. But in reality, I had, the parts to fix it. I, of course, changed the liners out. I changed the phosphor bronze bushing. So basically what I really did was I took the blade and I took the scales, I put them on a paper stone, and they are so much better now. Because the phosphor bronze bushings fixed it. The tolerances on these liners for this one are so much better. The blade has the potential of hitting that little rear kind of support there. Really the only spacer you have in the whole deal, other than that one screw through there. And your little bitty screw through the front there, which is, it's a pretty small little pivot. Most of the time you'd have a bigger pivot, which would be better, more of a support structure. So that's where the flop from this thing came from. Now that I changed the scales and the blade, the S30V blade, the best parts of this over to another one, and then put that one through the test, took my broken Pro and all the other crap, and then just saw how much it would take to break it. And really, it lasted and did quite a bit better than I would have expected it to do. But I made the best out of it and got some videos out of it and got to do some testing out of it. So, in the end of the day, all I had to do was swap parts around. Things like this mini Aegis, and I don't like the big Aegis, and I don't like any of their bigger ones because the build quality, the amount of flex, the amount of problems in these cold steel knives. The smaller ones are really the only ones I really like. Assisted opening, of course. Push that little button and you actuate it. It's got a lock on there. And you can, you know, glue that, put whatever on it. I don't even worry about it. I'm never in a situation where I'm going to be using this knife. But for 2 ounces, it's not a bad little lightweight knife that would just have some cool factor out on the trail. Carries deep, just there or the other. But those are the only ones of these I would actually buy. I really do not like any of the small. I don't really like too many SOG knives, honestly, except for some of their larger fixed blades. But that's just me. Maybe I don't have enough experience with them. But they were good buys. Got those at Sierra Trading Post too. So I sound like a broken record. Go build a relationship with your local gun shop. Find a good retailer who discounts things relatively reasonably. And when you turn over things like these Spydercos, you can get a really good deal on them. Share them with your friends. You know, go in on them. You know, that way you'll save on shipping. You'll do this, there, or the other, and everybody will get a hell of a buy. You know, and buy them for your family. Do whatever. Mine, I have to buy multiple copies of everything because I've got children. And children, like, for some reason, they're all going to go for the same thing. So I try to standardize the fact that I have multiple variations of the same thing so that they can all go for the same thing at the same time. These Delicas in different colors and different types of grinds and this, there, or the other. And we've got saber grinds and we've got full flat grinds and we've got this and we've got that, and all of that's great for testing. But it's also great, you know, my daughters, I got to give them two of the very first knife I ever bought for them. I got to give them this weekend, my 2 older daughters. So, for what it's worth, now they were just some buck, some of the climbing of Whitaker's knives from back in the past when they were little children, used to go out camping. Those were the knives, and that's something that's kind of cool. Were the Whitakers, did I buy them at a really good price? Yeah. They were closing them out also. I probably bought them for $10, and they're, you know, they can break, learn, do whatever, and then we'll move them up to different knives for the next ones. Next ones may be, you know, these SOG Aegis or something else that I got at a really reasonable price. Bucklight, you know, whatever. But it's guns, knives, and watches, and invest your money in your hobbies in a correct way. Don't kind of go over the edge and just start throwing money at it or this, there, or the other. If you buy things, you know, as they're being discontinued, as this, there, or the other, your selection may not be as great, but your payoff in the end, that's extreme. This is my favorite go-to hard use little folder that I can use for a lot of different things. I mean, this is really great. You know, I hate to sit there and say it, but the length of the blade, yeah, it's great tactical, or could be put in a tactical situation, but you know, it cuts melons awfully well too. It's VG10, or it does a lot of different things where a big knife, or it cuts a big piece of bread, or it cuts cheese, or it does this, there, or the other. And I hate to sit there and be, you know, this, there, or the other, and pull this whole tactical bullshit out of the, you know, whatever. But you know, you still have to live every day, and you know, some conveniences, you know. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah, it looks really cool, but damn, it's actually functional. What do you know? Shit, I can use it in my real world. Anyway, this is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and have a good one.